What's up, everyone? In today's video, I'm going to be showing you my very close game against Isabel. So, as many of you know this is like my 10th attempt trying to beat Isabel in chess, and so I started off with c4. It may look like an odd opening, it is, but it's the birds, or it's the English opening, and I was just gonna try something different since the London and Italian didn't really work on Isabel. So she countered with g6. I kind of thought she was gonna bring out the knight and go bishop and then castle. It looked like she was playing the King's Indian defense, which is one of the ways to counter the English. So I took advantage of her not, taking control of the center with e4. If she hadn't done that, I probably would have brought out the knight, to cover this spot so I can bring in my pawn. So I brought in the pawn on this move. Then Isabel countered with e5 with the king's pawn of her own. I then brought out the knight, and it puts this knight in a really good position. It it has these two squares that I can go to whenever I want, and I tend to do that more when my opponent starts to open up more. So then, as you can see, she's just establishing this very strong bishop. It's got a really good diagonal, but the only thing hindering it is this pawn right here. It kind of blocks it, but bringing the bishop here does help to protect it. So I think that's one of the reasons why she did it. So normally, if my opponent never plays this, I would bring the pawn all the way to d4. But since the pawn's here, I obviously brought it to d3 instead. I did this to establish the line of defense for both pawns, and it's also protected by my bishop, so this makes it a very strong formation. I will be playing a 1800. One of my friends is rated 1800, and I'm going to be playing him sometime next week, so I'll update you on that video. But this is the opening I'm going to be using in that game, and then I'll make a video on the English later. So Isabel then brought in the knight. I assumed it was to go. She was trying to take control of the d4 square and move in the knight. Since I had brought up these pawns and I couldn't really kick it, making it a knight outpost. I then decided it was the perfect chance to bring my knight. It was well defended, and it would really open up attacks I could use later on, and it put pressure on Isabel, and she responded with d6. I assumed it was to bring out her own bishop, and later in the game. I then decided I thought this was a good move, but according to the computer, this was a bad move. You can decide for yourself whether or not you like this decision. So this right here may not look like a good move. I am clearly positioning a undefended bishop in the diagonal of the queen, which will make it a free bishop. So obviously Isabel took it, but what I assume she didn't see, I mean, she's a computer, but is that the queen was protecting the c7 square from a castle. So this move basically trades. I basically traded the bishop for the rook, and I thought it was a good move at the time. But with this move now, Isabel has taken my only route of escape. I have two moves. She's covered up one of them, and the other one already has a pawn. So my knight's trapped. So I basically I sacrificed more than I thought I was, and so I tried to focus on. I didn't want to focus too much on freeing the knight, but later on in the game, it became a huge factor. And then Isabel was now starting to work towards taking out the injured knight. I brought out my own knight. Here, I just wanted to develop more and bring out the bishop and then castle. Isabel started moving out her knight. I didn't really know what it was for yet. I mean, the knight wouldn't have many good places to move except for g4, but with a simple knight move, I could easily, pressure it. But I mean, she would have her bishop, and then of course I did the bishop. Isabel moved her king back. I didn't know what the time was for, but later on you'll see what it was. I'll go back to that later. I castled, giving my king much needed protection. Uh, and then Isabel moved up her pawn, and I wasn't actually focused on that. I was working on defenses, but I didn't notice. I thought at the time the pawn was to stop my knight from being able to advance. I then looked for new areas to attack. I decided to push the A pawn forward, and then when Isabel made this move, I knew what it was for. She was clearly going to use her rook to take out the knight. All she had to do now was move her bishop anywhere other than d7. I then began pushing my pawn again. I was gonna try to free up the knight somehow. She then moved out her bishop, and I knew it was over for the knight. So I tried to put myself in the best position possible by moving the knight out on its own, so I could choose where they took. I didn't want to set the castle up in this position here, so I would let her pawn take it. Then I traded, and kind of got the best deal I thought I could. And now up until this point, I played a pretty solid game. I'm up by one pawn, and I thought this would be the time I finally beat Isabel in chess. I was able to successfully take a rook, and I thought this was going to be the game. Unfortunately, you could see later. So, my mistakes came around to protecting this one pawn. She then brought out her queen, so I brought out mine, and we started moving pieces to try to, secure the pawn. So wait. So here, this move right here threatened my queen, so I moved it forward. My thought process was to, still maintain some protection on the pawn. This was the only place I can go for that, and kind of put pressure on these two knights. And then I'm about to come up to one of my bigger mistakes. So, and then here we traded pawns, and then at this point I have this great move to kick the knight. It would have been really good. It would have moved the knight back, and when I looked at the analysis, it said I should have done that. But I think I was focusing on protecting my king more, and then about here I decided to push. We have this here, and I'm now up by or now we're tied. I think I lost a okay, no, here it is. Okay, so now I'm still up by one, but this pawn right here is in a really bad spot. And next, I didn't see this. I probably should have, but this was one of my bigger blunders, or this was actually one of my only blunders all game. She brought in the bishop, and it took my knight or my castle. I did see that. So then I also noticed that gave her a chance to take the pawn. So I don't really have any options. I could bring in the rook, but I didn't really want to do that. So I decided to block it. I blocked it with the bishop, stopping the castle from being able to, take it. And since my king was the only piece really defending the bishop, she brought in her queen, and it looked like it was game over right now. But then I decided to make this aggressive move here. I knew that I was going to lose the bishop, and I began kind of planning for it. I was ready to set up this line to attack the king, and I wanted to have some sort of attack set up once I was through with this. I knew I was going to be attacked for a long time, but I was hoping this wouldn't result in mate, but ended up doing that. So, thank you everyone for watching this video. I am trying to reach an ELO of 1500 by the end of the year. So make sure you